أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا حلالا طيبا وقلبا خاشعا. Oh Allah, help us learn what is beneficial to us and help us benefit from what you have enabled us to learn and increase to our knowledge. Oh Allah, I ask you for the beneficial knowledge, goodly provision and acceptable deeds. Rabbi shrah li sadri yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We know for sure the death is going to come, no matter who we are, what age we are, what condition, what health condition we have, and where we are, whether in a secure place or not, the death will definitely come. Allah says that, أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يُدْرِكُمُ الْمَوْتُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدَةٍ. Wherever you may be, the death will overtake you even if you should be within the towers of the lofty construction. We don't know when it is going to happen and how, but we know for sure that it will happen anytime. There are things we must have to do in advance while we are in the healthy and conscious condition. Writing our last will or the wasiya is the most important duty and the most important document we have to work on while we are in good condition before it is too late. I have prepared a wonderful presentation to explain the importance of last will and the consequences of not having a will. It's a full version is roughly 45 slides, but here I have reduced into few slides. Also, I have given the link for the full version in the description. If you want to listen to the entire slide deck, you can click on the link. Inshallah, before I start presenting, I would like to bring your attention to three important hadith related to the knowledge. Prophet ﷺ said, the time would draw close to the last hour, the knowledge would be snatched away, turmoil would be rampant, miserliness would be put in the hearts of the people, and there would be much bloodshed. Another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, seeking knowledge is a duty upon every Muslim, and he who passes the knowledge to those who do not deserve it, it is like who puts a necklace of jewels or pearls and gold around the neck of swines. Another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, O Abu Huraira, learn about the inheritance and teach it, for it is half of the knowledge, but it will be forgotten. This is the first thing that will be taken away from my nation. So from this hadith or three, we can understand that the knowledge is very important. That's the first thing is gonna leave when we are close to the last hour, and among that knowledge, the knowledge of the inheritance is gonna diminish first. Okay, first of all, I want to make this is to be very clear that I'm not a religious scholar and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not here to give you any kind of legal advice or religious advice, and I'm here to raise the awareness and make the community and make you aware that writing the will, producing that document, it's very, very important, and you have to take that very seriously. Here are some important terminology. I'm not going through it in detail, but a testator, the musi, the person who makes the will, and testate, he died leaving a will. Intestate, the condition where the person died without having a will. Beneficiary, they are the whoever is getting the benefit. And bequeath, to leave the property in one's death. Another word is to give. And bequest is a provision in the will. And codicil, and if you want to make changes to the will, this is a process called the codicil. And heirs, someone who inherits, it's like a beneficiary. Executor, those are the people who we name and to execute the will after we die. And probate is the legal proceedings to administer the distribution of the property when with a valid will. The probate will be with a valid will. Intestate succession, if you don't have a will, and then our property will go through interstate succession, not according to the Sharia. It's based on the state or where we live, based on that. Intestacy law is the distribution starts with the spouse, children, parents, etc. That's how it is, succeed according to. It's not according to Sharia. All the children will be the same way. No biological or the adopted. There is no distinction. So it go according to that. Holographic will, it's a handwritten will, 100% handwritten. So those are valid. It has to be, certain rules and regulations according to the state. And attested will, whether the will has to be, you can self-attest. You don't need to be notarized. In some state may be required to notarize, but majority of the states doesn't require notarized. But it has to be signed by the witness, that's for sure. Why the will is important? According to Quran and Sunnah, according to the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 190, Allah says that كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. Prescribed for you when the death approaches, any one of you, if he leaves the wealth, is that he should make a bequest for the parents and near relatives according to what is acceptable, a duty upon every righteous person. And according to hadith, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is not permissible for any Muslim who has something to be to will to stay for 2 nights without having his last will and testament written and kept ready with him. Sahih al-Bukhari. I have covered more hadith in my full version. You can check that. And importance of having a will in general. After a person dies, there are 3 possibilities for the relationship between that a person and his or her wealth. Either the person has full control over the wealth through a will, or has partial control over the wealth through a will, or has absolutely no control over it. So Islam holds a middle that the person has partial control over the wealth through a will. Again, I have covered a lot in my full version. So I put 2 pictures here to easily understand. 100% inherited, that means you don't have a will. You have no option to 1/3. Your property is 100% inherited. And the second picture, you have an option to write your 1/3 option reserved for you for optional donations, charities, relatives not entitled under 2/3. So you have some cousins or someone not entitled to the inherited property, and you can give to them. And non-Muslims or neighbors or anyone you are interested, you can give your 1/3 portion. You can allocate that to the masjid or anyone. But if you don't have a will, you don't have an option, you cannot touch that. That's going to be 100% inherited. In this slide, I put this 3 ayah, very important ayah from Surah Nisa, ayah number 11, 12 and 176 related to the inheritance, who is getting what and what percentage and all those things. We may wonder that, such a complicated, such a, broad, people written books and books about the inheritance law, that's coming out of the entire Quran. No, it's coming out of the only 3 ayah, not even a full surah, not even a few pages. It's a 3 ayah that contains the entire inheritance law. Brothers and sisters, we are so blessed with our religion. Alhamdulillah, it's giving us the direction, a complete direction to how to live and how to allocate our wealth and how to inherit and all those things. We are so blessed. I don't think any other religion is covering the inheritance law in such a details and such a completed form. Okay, importance of will. A will is a legal document which comes into operations after the testator's death. Will may be the most important document that we are going to produce for our loved ones. And in that will, we can specify where we want to be buried, how we want to be buried. In the Muslim cemetery, you can choose, who is is going to wash your body, and how you gonna present, and all those things you can specify. You had to be buried according to the Islamic law. And you can also specify not to do the postmortem, no cremation, no casket, no autopsy unless it is legally required. Embalming, aerial or cavity, those kind of things you can specify to avoid. Proper washing and showering before the burial, and really it will make the body to release from the hospital fast. Because see, by default, if there is any accident, death or anything, they do the postmortem. To avoid postmortem, you can write it there. You don't want to be your body not to do the postmortem, and things like that you can specify in the will. And for example, if say you don't have will, you did not specify, and you had an accident, either your wife died or your husband died or children, and to avoid the postmortem, you can still approach the hospital authority and tell them that because of the Islamic reason, religious reason, you don't want your wife's body or husband's body or children's body to be to do the postmortem. If they need a signature, you can give a letter, or you can bring some leadership from the masjid or someone, and you can talk to them, and so this will avoid the postmortem. I had one incident that one brother died, and so I approached the hospital and they were about to do the postmortem, and I requested them not to do that because of the religious reason, and then so they released the body. In summary, they released the body fast. So we can do that. So that will help, inshallah, because we don't want to be our body to be cut pieces and pieces. When they do the postmortem, it's not like general postmortem, so sometimes they make pieces, and so it's very hard to see. And also taking body abroad, please avoid that. Wherever you die, you specify in the will. Also, you write the letter to your parents abroad or whoever is abroad. Tell them that not to request your body to be carried over. Wherever you die, that's the place you're gonna be buried, because it's taking body abroad in embalming process. It's a horrible process. One of the place they are doing, they told me that, Kamal, please ask your friends network to avoid taking body, because embalming is a horrible process. I'm not going to talk about that in detail, but avoid taking body abroad. This is not a sunnah. This is not a recommended thing. This is we should avoid. It's a financial obligation and lot of hassle, lot of paperwork, and it will take days and days, sometimes weeks, to take the body abroad. So avoid that, and specify that in the letter, and ask your parents or whoever is abroad to not to request the body to bring. Okay, consequences of not having a will. In general, no control what happens to your estate after your death. I told you, Islamically, we have to have some control over our wealth even after the death, with the 1/3 option. No option to choose your executor. No option to choose the guardians for your minor children. So because you don't have will, you have no choice. So court will decide. There is no guardian for your special needs, anything. No option to express your funeral arrangement, as I told you in the previous screen. So may not follow the Sharia. So wherever you are, some country maybe follow the Sharia, some countries not. Even the Sharia they follow. There is no 1/3 option. It's just 100%. If no Sharia, all the children are going to be treated as the same. There is no difference between biological or the adopted. Okay, there may be a heavy tax on the inherited property, and depending on some states, in some countries, they have heavy charges on the court assigned executor. Executors are court assigned when they are going to be too expensive, difficult to administer the estate, and family dispute, too much donation, and all those things will come. If you have will, there is no argument. That's it. If no will, if you are a wealthy person, then there's going to be some kind of arguments. And reminder of this will remind you when you start writing will. It will remind you that you're going to die. So some preparation, inshallah. Okay. So the burial expenses, debts and wasiya. Burial expenses, believe me, brothers and sisters, it's not a small money. It's so much. Maybe from anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 or more. It consists of all the expenses: ambulance, funeral home expense, police escort, ritual bath, the dress for the grave, coffin, graveyard expense, preparation of the grave, carrying the deceased to the graveyard, and burial. All those will come. It's not a small amount. Settlement of the debts to Allah, the Hajj, Zakah, Fidya, and all those, and debts to the humans, financial institutions, and borrowed money, and loan, rent, and all those will come. And then the execution of wasiyah. The wasiyah must be valid, not exceed one third of the estate. I put here the invalidation of wasiya. So you know that, it's any of these things. The testator becomes a person unsound mind and dies in that state. So then the wasiya is not valid. Beneficiary predeceases the testators, then it is not valid. It's a common sense. Subject matter is destroyed. The will is destroyed before the testator's death. Then this is invalid. And if the testator revokes the wasiya, then it is invalid. And the beneficiary has intentionally caused the death of the testator, and then it is invalid. Okay, what you need before writing the will? Before even start writing the will, you have to have 4 executors in your mind. Okay, identify 3 to 4 executors and talk to them, discuss with them. You're going to put their name, so get a willingness to them. Okay, agreed. And then you need their detailed name, not just a short name. Their name is in the passport, because the court will verify is that true. So you have to have their name clearly, and decide what property to include in the will, and all assets and all debts. Decide who will inherit your property. That's, of course, you have to find out your parents are still alive, and your children, your spouse, all those. So you have to, all beneficiaries. And then important, choose a guardian for your children, 2-3 guardians, for your minor children as well as the special needs, and choose someone to manage children's property. If you don't have the trust account or anything, so choose someone to manage their property. And then make the will, sign the will in front of the witness. You need a witness, and store the will safely. And in this slide, I put some do's and don'ts. It's a very common sense, but I'm specifying that because we make a lot of mistakes. Find 4 executors. Okay, definitely don't include them abroad. Say if we are here, and then we think, okay, the executors, let's make my parents or my brothers or sisters abroad. Don't do that, because court is going to call them. If they cannot come here or they are not here, then it's going to be a problem. So find someone here, your friends or your relatives, someone here you can find. You can also include your children as executors. They are not minors, and you can include them. Your spouse can be an executor, but in addition to them, you can include someone else too. Find 4 guardians for your children. Okay, so you need 4 guardians. If one is available, second, so you go accordingly. But do not give the list from abroad, so that will make complicated things. We had one situation like husband and wife, both young. They died in an accident. They left a 4-year-old or 5-year-old girl here. So there is no will, no guardians, and so luckily, because of the more Indian population here, they approached the court, and the court gave to one of their family friend for temporary, and then the parents came from abroad, and I think they give it to the parents. But to avoid these situations, you have to have someone take care your children. In the will, you can include that. Okay, store the will in a secure place, but don't keep in the locker. It has to be easily available when something happen. Okay, so give the will, each copy to the executor or your children or your family. Okay, and you have to write the will, but don't keep the different versions of the will. If there is a change, you can make in codicil, or you can specify in the letter of inclusion. I will talk about that. Update the letter of inclusion. Also, do not modify the signed will, but it's do something. So You don't need an expensive will, don't need to pay too much, very reasonable. There are so many will online available. Islamic wills are available free to download. You can include that. Check with your state if that format is good enough. So you can do that. You don't need a expensive will. There are some companies offering like online maintenance, to spend hundreds of dollars for that, where you don't need that. Okay. Okay, letter of instructions. What is letter of instructions? A letter of instructions is an informal document that benefit both you and your surveyors by providing specific detailed information necessary for making your funeral arrangements and settling your affairs according to your wishes. It should not, however, shouldn't be regarded as a substitute for your will, but rather as a supplement to your will. Like all estates planning document, it should be reviewed and updated periodically. So in our will, we can see that only few things you can include, like who are the executors, who are the guardians for your minors, and who are the your wealth and all those things. But you cannot specify in detail, like how you have to be worried and all those things, the minor things. I'm gonna talk about that. Some letter of instructions, you can include. So I found this information is very, very useful, in addition to the will, so that's the reason I'm including here. Is you may not find this info outside. So here are some of the instructions you can make in that letter of instructions. What can be included? You can include regarding your burial process, what you need. So instructions to your spouse, you can specify that what you need, who can see, who cannot see, and where to show your body, and all those things you can include to avoid any kind of confusion after. Instructions to your children, regarding your wealth, regarding your burial, washing, and all those things you can include that. Important home warranty, you can include car, vehicles, utilities, phone, gas, investment stocks, store credit cards, bank debts, loan, personal loans, and to give, or you have to get some money back. All those things you can include in there. You cannot put this in the will. And volunteering activities, information for the funeral home, community leader, instructions to the imams and what you need, and to request to the community what, all those things you can include in advance. So here is a sample. This is how you write letter of instruction. I, and put your name, currently residing at, put your address, city, state, hereby adding the following lines to my existing will. Then section 1, my current assets. Section 2, debts. You can read, you can look at this. This is very useful. It's very informative. Okay. Next, how to arrange your documents. This is how I did, created different colors, different name tags, and here you can see the will, employer, insurance, accounts, home related, your travel related, all those things. In the will, you can put all your copy of the will, letter of instructions, all those things. Employer, you can put all your employer information, previous employer, current employer, their contacts, and all those things. Accounts, you can put all the bank accounts, login ID, online banking, all those things you can include. And home related, your home warranty, home address, previous home address, all those things. And insurance, you can include all those. Travel folder, you can put all your travel arrangement like OCI, your passport when it's going to expire, your children's passport. We might think that why all this is required. See, the moment we die, our spouse gonna forget everything, or our children gonna forget everything, and we gonna forget everything, including where is your spouse is working, all those things. With this having handy easily, I witnessed, one after a brother died. There's when someone asked, what's source security or the driver license. I have no clue where it is. Okay, so to avoid that, we can include everything in here. It's handy, so you can just get it. So you don't need to remember all those things, because that moment is a very, very, very special moment. People forget everything. Okay, so I have talked about this in detail in my lengthy presentation. As I said, it's in the description. You have the link. You can watch that. Okay, I'm not talking about that anymore. Okay. Where to store the will? Do not put in the bank locker. This has to be easily available. Make 2-3 copies. Give to one copy to the executor and to the children, to your family, and share with that. Okay. I have a humble request to the community. Be in touch with your local masjid and learn about the funeral process, ghusl, shrouding and washing, because these are lengthy processes you have to learn. You have to teach your children and tell them that, you request them to wash your body because they are the closest one. Let them learn how this process, let them learn how to pray the janazah, how to lead the prayer, all those things you can teach them. Husband can wash their wife's body, wife can wash their husband's body. So that's allowed. So they let them learn how to, they don't need to do it, but, let them learn. And also, please take writing the will. It's a serious matter. Do prepare that, at least list out what you need to do and involve the community activities. Be beneficial to others and get involved in the masjid activity. Support whatever the ways you can support the masjid. Stay away from all the fitna and just prepare to leave this place anytime. Okay, I also put some links here. There are a lot of information online and there are a lot of practices, like if you have this much wealth, how much is each children going to get, son, daughter, your parents, all those you can specify. And there are so many documents freely downloadable, and you can use that. And I shared a lot of information. I did some research on it. I spent some time because to benefit myself first and to others and to the community. If you find this information is useful, please share with the others and give me the comment so that I can make changes to my videos. So you can share with anyone. You can make copies as long as this is useful, inshallah, and keep me in your dua. Okay, if I said anything wrong, I made some mistakes, please forgive me. That's because of lack of my understanding, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.